I want you to look at something. This person, whoever they are, they're not lazy. They wake up early, they're constantly researching, always learning, they care a lot. But look a little closer at their life. It's a graveyard of day ones. It's 50 open tabs in a browser that's been running for 3 days. It's a business plan that stops at page 2. It's an investing app they opened once, felt a rush of electricity for, and then never touched again. Does that sound familiar? It should, because this was me for years. And if you're watching this right now, there's a good chance it's you too. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. Having too many interests isn't just a quirky personality trait. It's a psychological pattern. And honestly, it has a very specific, very predictable financial consequence. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside your brain when you can't seem to commit. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how to actually use that curiosity instead of letting it run your life. Let's talk about jam. Back in 2000, two psychologists, Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper, went to a grocery store in California and set up a simple tasting table. Table A had 24 flavors of jam. Table B had only 6. Now common sense says more options attract more people. And that part was true. The big table was crowded. But then they looked at the sales data. At the table with 24 options, only 3% of people actually bought a jar. But at the table with only 6 options, 30% of people bought. That's a 10-fold increase in sales just by taking away the noise. More options led to 10 times fewer decisions. This is called choice overload. And it's not just about what you put on your toast. It's about every single morning you sit down to work on your future, and you end up doing nothing. Not because you're lazy, but because when your brain sees 24 equally exciting paths, it panics, it freezes. And the worst part? Your brain calls that freezing thinking. You aren't stuck, you're just overloaded. There's a massive difference. But okay, that only explains the freeze. It doesn't explain the itch. It doesn't explain why you keep chasing the next new thing even when the last one hasn't paid off yet. To understand that, we have to look at the chemistry of your ambition. Think about the last time you found a new interest. Maybe it was drop shipping or crypto or coding. Remember that 2 a.m. energy? That this is the one feeling? You were on fire. And then 2 weeks later, you were gone. On to the next high. You told yourself the last thing just wasn't a fit. You promised yourself the next one would be different, but it never is. And here's why. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp spent his life studying what he called the seeking system. It's a dopamine-driven circuit in your brain that fires when you're exploring. His biggest discovery? Dopamine is released during the search, not the reward. Your brain literally gives you a chemical high for starting, not for finishing. Every new tab you open is a hit. Every what-if scenario you dream up is a hit. But the second you sit down to do the actual boring, grueling work, the dopamine disappears. There's no rush in the middle. There's only effort. And your brain, which is basically a dopamine addict, immediately starts looking for the next shiny object. So you aren't undisciplined. Your brain's just doing exactly what it was evolved to do. This is why you feel busy, but stay broke. There's one more piece to this, and it's a bit of a reality check. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Erik Erikson wanted to know why smart, capable people often fail to build a stable life. He called it identity diffusion. It's a state where you won't commit to a direction because you're afraid of closing doors. You want to be everything, so you end up being nothing. Ask yourself this honestly. If someone met you at a party and asked, "So, what do you do?" what would you say? If your answer is a laundry list of, "I'm looking into this and I'm thinking about that," it might feel like you're being open-minded. But to the market, to the people who actually pay for expertise, that answer says, "I don't know what I'm worth." Money doesn't follow potential. Money follows clarity. Everything I've said so far is just the diagnosis. But a diagnosis without a plan is just a reason to feel bad. So here's what I really want you to hear. Your interests are not the problem. The problem is that you're treating your interests like separate islands instead of asking which way the current is pulling them all. Look at these two people. Both have the same 5 interests: psychology, finance, storytelling, behavior, and self-improvement. Person A treats them as 5 different jobs. They try to be a therapist, then a day trader, then a writer. 10 years pass. They're still at the starting line. Person B asks one question. How do all of these point at one outcome? They realize psychology plus finance plus storytelling equals a business helping people master the psychology of wealth. They build one route. They create one brand. 10 years later, they have multiple income streams, but they all grow from the same core. The difference wasn't talent. It was just one moment of alignment. The most dangerous person isn't the one who doesn't care. It's the one who cares about everything equally and commits to nothing. They spend their whole lives feeling like they're almost there, but they never actually arrive. Your brain is always going to love new beginnings. That's never going away. But wealth isn't built in the beginning. It's built in the middle. The middle is the part with no dopamine. The middle is the part where it feels like nothing is happening. The middle is the part where everyone else quits. So the question isn't, which interest should I choose? The question is, which interest am I willing to be boring for?